With respect to Tobago, I had a very successful meeting with Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. He brought a list of issues to be sorted. There are many we can work on towards resolving that may not cost taxpayer dollars, and there's some what you call low-hanging fruit that we can deal with in a short-term period. Government committed to Chief Secretary Farley that whenever major Tobago issues are being discussed at Cabinet, the Chief Secretary will be invited to attend to have his input before decisions are taken. The Minister in the Office of the Attorney General, Devesh Maharaj, I have tasked him with handling all legislative matters to be worked out with the THE. So Minister in the Ministry of the AG as well as Minister of Justice, Mr. Maharaj, will be tasked with handling all legislative matters relating to Tobago. As you know, we've gone back and forth with regard to Tobago self-autonomy. There have been bills brought to this Parliament, just lapsed, went by the wayside. So whilst we prepare for another bill to come, in consultation, of course, with Tobago, there are many other smaller issues, legislative issues that we can address in the short term. And as I say, Minister Devesh Maharaj will be tasked with that job.
With respect to self-governance for Tobago and autonomy, when do you anticipate that a bill will be brought to Parliament?
Based on my discussions with Chief Secretary Farley, that may not be until the new parliamentary term, which is coming down into after the budget, September, October. That will not be forthcoming, but there are some, as I said, some smaller items within the various schedules that we can tweak now to allow some self-governance to take place, so they'll have more autonomy than they have at present. With respect to a larger bill, it will take us a bit longer because the consultation exercise we'll take all the old bills, we'll look at them, we'll get a consultant team, but we will still have to reach back with a final version. So I'm not looking until the next parliamentary term.
Is there anything you can share with us in terms of some of the smaller things that you can accomplish?
Some had to do in the schedule with definitions of certain things. Some had to do with issues that Tobago now within their present schedule that they can do, that they were not allowed to do. The specifics right now slip me, but there are a lot of little items. It sounds little, but it's big for the people of Tobago that we can do without coming with this big omnibus bill at the end of this year. Okay, so I know there are areas with national security, and there was Barry. Can you remind? Is Barry still here? He was part of the meeting because we had the leader of business in THA. She was with us.
Ms. Sackett?
Yes, Zorisha.
A few of the low-hanging fruit that both was discussed by the Chief Secretary and the Prime Minister had to do with the memorandum of understanding between several state ministries and the divisions within the THA. A lot of the existing legislation in terms of how the THA works in tandem with central government is left up to interpretation, and that has stymied the progress of a significant amount of work between divisions and agencies. For instance, education is one of those in terms of how you treat with teachers and their leave, their application for extended leave, etc., which impacts the division of education as well as the waiting time for a significant amount of number of teachers coming from Tobago. So clearing up the issue of interpretation of the existing legislation, where you have in some places minister as opposed to secretary, it removes a lot of the bureaucracy and actually gets a lot done a lot more efficiently. That's one area. This also.
Can I intervene on that? The law as it stands predates the Tobago House of Assembly Act, so that in all of that law that was prior to the THA Act, the word minister is mentioned. Many administrative functions, the minister will do this, the minister will do that. Minister here has mentioned leave for teachers. They have to get authority from the minister in Trinidad, which sometimes takes eons. That was one that we felt we would look at the definition of minister and where that can be transposed into someone there in the bureaucracy in the THA that will allow them faster time. So that was one of them. For leave for teachers, minister means Minister of Education in Trinidad. But they have a Department of Education and they have an officer in the THA for education. So that is like an omnibus bill that we can bring to Parliament. Every time minister is mentioned, if it is not in tandem with the present THA Act, we can amend the word minister now to bring it into the modern day post the THA Act. That is one. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, go ahead.
Another one, Prime Minister, you'd recall, has to do with the issue of legal affairs. In another incarnation, when we were there during the period 2010 to 2015, there was a great synergy between the THA and the central government as it relates to things like birth certificates, the registration of deaths and births, land titles, which remains an issue. We started that process when we were there between 2010 to 2015. The former administration left that to languish, and that is a serious concern to the people of Tobago, and it is something that we agreed with the Chief Secretary that we will work towards in the immediate future in terms of harmonizing that relationship, particularly with the areas in legal affairs, to bring about a greater degree of relief instead of Tobagonians having to come to Trinidad back and forth for simple things like births and deaths, documents from legal affairs, etc.
That is related to the Office of the Registrar General. When we were there, as MP has reminded us, we had created an RG's office in Tobago to prevent the back and forth and the time wasting and the money wasting. So we are considering again putting a deputy RG in Tobago for the benefit of the people of Tobago.
And the final area that I'll discuss, I know that there were a number of issues that we discussed, but some of them were short-term, medium-term, and long-term. So another one of the short-term measures particularly had to do with the instance of the Scarborough Secondary School. Prime Sir, you may
Slipping
want
into the sea.
Yes, you may want to discuss a bit of that.
Okay.
But that was a priority area for the Chief Sec and the THA.
Thank you very much, Minister. I trust that will keep you happy for now. Yes, for now.
I wanted to ask you, of course, when are you coming to Tobago?
Come like Akash. Soon.
Soon.
Soon. We are a little busy at the moment with the midterm review. I'll be honest with you. That is consuming a lot of time. Something else consuming is board appointments, because without the boards we have realized you cannot properly, effectively govern. A lot of decisions have to be made by boards. So it is really, really hectic, but as soon as we can, the midterm review is a priority now. We need the money. We have to find the money and we have to allocate the money. So midterm review. So, and then the Parliament goes into recess thereafter. So,
one more question: is there an established deadline for the operationalization of the new ANR Robinson International Airport?
we are assessing again. That's another one that needs assessment. We discussed that with Chief Secretary. There were several issues outstanding there. I don't want to go back into that, but a lot of things that are not right with where the construction has reached, so we need an assessment report as to where it's at. But yes, we are committed to working with the THA to get that airport open, fully functional.